Welcome class, welcome mathematicians. The purpose of this video is to walk you through the Google form that we worked on yesterday in which we reviewed circumference. The hope is not to give you the answers to all the questions, but to give you enough support, enough scaffolding that you can redo the assignment and hopefully get a perfect 10 out of 10. So we're going to start with number 5 since that is the first question that is graded. It says a circle has a radius of 5 units. So, let's label that. Okay, so the radius goes from the center to the edge of the circle, and the question is, what is the diameter? So we want to know the length all the way across the circle. And we know that 2 radii is equal to 1 diameter. So if we know that the radius is 5, we just double that, and that will give us the diameter. Okay, next question. Question number 6. Question number 6 is the opposite of question number 5. In question number 6, it tells us that the diameter is 23 units, and it just wants to know what is the radius. So what is this part? So it just wants to know what is half of the diameter. This is the radius. The whole thing, that's the diameter. Okay, so all we have to do is take the diameter and divide it by 2. That gives us the radius. Moving on to question number 7. Okay, what is the definition of circumference? Okay, so this whole unit so far has been about circles. Circumference is the measurement that we take. It's kind of similar to perimeter, where if we have our little ant friend here, and he wants to crawl all the way around the shape, we want to know how far did the ant travel. So that's what we're talking about in circumference. It's not the space inside. It has nothing to do with going from the center or going across. It is going around the circle. Okay, question number 8. The radius of a circle is twice the length of the diameter. So let's take a look at that. Oops, let's erase that. Okay. This measurement is a radius. This measurement is a diameter. So the question is the radius twice as big as the diameter? Is that true or is that false? That the radius is twice the diameter. Okay, moving on to question number 9. What is the circumference of the circle? So the distance all the way around. Well, we have the formula that we've already talked about. Circumference equals pi times the diameter. So what do we know in this diagram? We know the diameter, which is 36. And we're trying to find out, what are we trying to find? We're trying to find the circumference. So to find the circumference, we take the diameter, which is 36, and we multiply it by pi, which for this assignment we're using 3.14. If we multiply the diameter by pi, that will give us the circumference. And make sure in your answer, leave off feet. Just put the number because for this Google form to correctly correct your work, we're going to leave off the units, even though normally we always have the units. Okay, next, number 10. What is the circumference of the circle? Okay, what do we know? Well, this time we don't know the diameter. This time we know the radius. And we're trying to find the circumference again. So we still use the same formula, circumference equals pi d. Except we don't know what d is. We don't know the diameter. The diameter, once again, is the length all the way across. So if the radius is 4.5, double that to get the diameter. 4.5 doubled is 9. So to find the circumference, we do pi, 3.14, times the diameter, which is, in this case, 9. Question 11, what is the arc length of this quadrant? Okay, arc length, we're just talking about what is the length of this curve right there. So what I like to do on these problems is first pretend that we have a full circle. So I'm going to pretend we have a full circle. If this were a full circle, what do we know? Well, we know that the radius is 6. This piece here would be a radius of that big circle. And we're trying to find the arc length. And we have a quadrant, which is 1/4 of the circumference. Okay, so we have a little work to do. We're still going to use the same formula, C equals pi d. But we don't know the diameter. We know that the radius is 6. So the diameter is twice 6, which is 12. We're going to do C equals, for pi once again, 3.14 times the diameter 12. Except that would give us the full circumference all the way around this shape. We don't want that. We only want the arc length of the quadrant. We only want this piece. Oops. Let's erase that. We only want that arc length. So whatever answer you got here in the circumference, we have to take this answer and divide it by, because a quadrant is 1/4, we have to divide that by 4, and that will give us the arc length. Okay, number 6 is similar, except this time we have a semicircle. Once again, we're going to pretend we have a full circle, and we're going to ask ourselves, what do we know? Well, this time we know the diameter. This 30 looks like the diameter to me is 30. And we're trying to find the arc length. We're just trying to find this piece of the circle, the semicircle. So same formula, C equals pi d. We know d, so we do C equals 3.14 times the diameter, which is 30. Except this answer will give us the circumference, which is all the way around the circle. We don't want all the way around the circle, we just want halfway around the circle. So whatever answer we get here, we need to divide that by 2. Okay, now here we're working backwards. Remember a few days ago I gave you a little chart that said if we have the diameter and we want to go to the circumference, we need to multiply by pi. If we have the circumference and we want to go back to the diameter, we need to divide by pi. Just the inverse operation. So that's what we're doing in these problems. Number 13, it tells us that the circumference is 45 844 thousandths. So to find the diameter, we know the circumference, we want to know the diameter. We just need to take that and divide it by pi. Once again, we're using 3.14, and that will bring us back to the diameter. Number 14 is very similar, except we have one extra step. In 14, we know the circumference. We're trying to find the radius. Well, if we start with the circumference is 15 7/10 units, and we divide that by pi, 3.14. That will give us the diameter, but we don't want the diameter. That will give us the distance all the way across the circle. We only want to find out what is the radius. So whatever answer you get for the diameter, you have to divide that by 2. And that's all the problems we have. Hopefully this will be useful as you are working through these problems.